Welcome to Codento AI.cast. This is the third and final episode of our theme, Nextgen Foundation. Today, we will be talking about how to refresh your application portfolio in order to make AI scaling possible. I am Anthony Gyursanszky, CEO of Codento, your AI.cast host, and a seasonal cover band drummer. 3 out of 4 companies are already focusing all of their development on cloud-native applications. Are you one of them? I assume that you don't want to leave your applications out of AI trade. We have 2 superstar professionals from Codento and Google, Ville, Rinne and Jari Timonen joining me today. Ville and Jari will discuss the aspects of transforming your application portfolio to be AI compliant without the explosion of costs. Is this even possible? Stay tuned and the 2 gentlemen will share their experiences.
Ville, we want to talk about application modernization. This is an old theme, but still valid. Why is that?
Yeah, I think in many ways it's never been more valid than right now. We're entering into this era where people are really doing a lot of things in the cloud and doing impactful things that sort of affect the core of their business. That's going to require a lot from sort of the legacy application stack compared to when you're just creating new things in the cloud. It's not enough to just move your applications to the cloud, and it's not enough just to modernize your operations. You're also going to have to think about how do you actually make everything more efficient? How do you increase the automation levels across the board? How do you increase the abstraction levels across the board? And how do you get to a point where you're able to move a lot faster, deploy things a lot more often than you're used to, have significantly less incidents from your infrastructure and recover from those incidents a lot quicker?
Could you, Ville, talk a little bit about the strategies that companies can use to migrate their workloads to cloud?
I think the most used one that we see today is actually out of Gartner. It's called the 6R strategy, where you basically consider your whole portfolio, which can be hundreds of applications for a large company, even thousands of applications for large global companies. Each of those applications is unique in a sense, and there's no one strategy that will fit all of those applications.
So, Ville, can you tell a little bit more about these 6 Rs and what are they?
So the 6R is something that came out of Gartner. It's been already over 10 years, but really it's an infrastructure migration strategy. And you can think of each R as a bucket. The whole point is that you're trying to analyze your application portfolio at the portfolio level. So you have potentially hundreds of applications that you're considering from different eras, different flavors of applications, and you want to have a strategy for all of them. Each of the R's is a bucket, and every application ends up in one of the buckets. And the buckets are basically, I think the R's themselves are retain, retire, rehost, replatform, refactor, and re-architect. So those are the original 6 R's, or maybe there were only 5 of them originally. So each of the R's, for example, retire, it's an indication that if you know that this application is not going to be around 3 years from now, it goes in the retire bucket. So you're actively working towards retiring it. If you know that the application is something that's super hard to transform, maybe it's a commercial application you bought, you can't really do anything to it, you're just going to rehost it. If you know you can do a bit more when you're moving to the cloud to increase abstraction levels, but not much, then you're going to re-platform it. So basically you might move from VMware to the cloud hypervisor, not anything else. You're not going to change the database, you're not going to do anything else. Refactoring is when it gets interesting, because then you're actually changing the infrastructure in a major way. You will make the infrastructure much more automated, you will make it denser. So refactoring for me and for Google, I think, is all about containerization. So it's taking applications that used to run in virtual machines, putting them in containers, and that way making everything more scalable and more automated. Because when you move containerized applications on the Google Cloud, Google will actually take responsibility for the security and the maintenance of the underlying operating system level, because you would then run them on our managed service, for example, Google Kubernetes Engine. And then re-architecting is really the pinnacle of everything, which means that you're going to touch the application architecture. So all of the other R's, other than re-architecting, are done at the infrastructure level. You're not touching the application itself. You don't have to retest everything as heavily. But then when you get into re-architecting, you can actually turn monolithic applications into microservices, which is interesting and has a lot of potential in it. But also in that scenario, you typically have to create a business case separately for each application. Whereas with the other Rs, you can create a business case at the portfolio level.
What is the business benefit of doing this 6R?
When you think about large companies that have hundreds of applications in their portfolio, you have to pick the proper strategy for everything. If you try and re-architect 500 applications in a major way, and each effort ends up costing, let's say 100 man days of effort per application, that would be 50,000 man days across the portfolio. That's not feasible for anybody. So the value of the 6Rs is that you also consider the value to business during the process, and you invest more in the applications that have more value to your business. And you basically find the applications where you shouldn't invest and find the ones where you should invest. Everything goes in one of the buckets. Each of the buckets has a significantly different migration cost per unit. Like across the portfolio, it can range from a business case that has a migration cost in the hundreds of man days to something that's in the thousands or even tens of thousands of man days to update. So really it depends a lot on the business, it depends on the industry, it depends on the portfolio itself, and building a proper business case at the portfolio level is crucial in my opinion. Yeah, so I think the second thing to consider then is why you're doing this. What's the value to business? So it's worth just transforming the infrastructure because you can gain a lot in lower costs and less operational complexity. But other times it's also important to consider what can it do to the time to market of new digital development that's happening inside of your company. A lot of companies are spending quite a bit of money to build up these digital DevOps teams that are developing new capabilities within the company. And each of those teams is impacted by what's going on with the legacy application portfolio, especially now that we're sort of getting past the point where people are just developing things that are more marketing in nature and getting to the area that significant amounts of sort of core business is actually happening online. These digital development teams, their efficiency is directly related to their level of autonomy, and the level of autonomy is typically significantly negatively impacted by how automated and how abstracted the infrastructure and these legacy core applications are. That's one of the core reasons to consider sort of in terms of these different buckets that we've talked about, 6Rs. One of the core compelling reasons to invest more in refactoring and re-architecting is in areas where you can have a significant impact in increasing the autonomy of your digital development teams that are basically directly responsible for time to market in terms of your new business online.
Business benefits are clear, but how does Google does this in practice?
I think it's important to realize that even the analysis itself, when you're dealing with hundreds of applications, can already be a significant investment, at least in time. We have our customer engineering team here in Finland, and we work with partners like Codento. There's funding available for the customers, and we can bring in experts from our customer engineering team and from your Codento team to work with the customer to help them create the analysis. But there's no getting around the fact that it will require time investment. Even 100 applications will probably require a month's worth of effort to properly analyze. And because typically, especially in larger companies, you're talking about tens of different people who actually own these applications. You can do quite a bit at scale by sending out questionnaires and things of that nature, but eventually it comes down to people talking with people and analyzing outcomes.
We as a Google partner, we have in Codento, we have designed this Codento cloud migration process that is designed to be used as a process or framework for small companies to big companies, and from easy to complex environments that we can use to migrate not only the workloads, but migrate the business objectives and everything, and to transform the company to truly cloud environment.
Yeah, I think the key to the whole thing is iterating really rapidly, separating sort of the wheat from the chaff as fast as you can, because like we discussed earlier, if you've got hundreds of applications a significant part of them are going to go into buckets where not much is being done. The applications are either being retained where they are, they might be retired, they might be rehosted, which are all sort of not really transformational events. The key thing in terms of the analysis itself is really rapidly iterating across the entire portfolio.
Thanks, Ville, for joining AI.cast, and it was a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jari and Ville, for the insights on application modernization towards the era of AI. This episode completes our series on the theme Nextgen Foundation. In the following episodes of Codento AI.cast, we will be moving into the topic of software intelligence. If your business includes developing software for customers, you might be wondering how to flexibly scale resources or how to swiftly adopt the latest AI technologies to boost developers' work and your end products. The next 3 episodes of Codento AI.cast will talk about that exactly. But don't you worry, when you have subscribed to AI.cast at Codento.com, we will notify you by email when our next episode is available. From Ville's and Jari's discussion today, my conclusion is that if you are still waiting for starting with application modernization, wait no more. With 6R model supported by Google and Codento, you would be in very safe hands. If your application portfolio might use some freshening up, please scan the QR code and book a free AI Valley workshop with us. We will share our best practices and help you get rid of the legacy that slows down your AI innovations. Thanks for watching. See you soon.